You pushed through the crowded market like she owned every inch of ground beneath her feet. Her wrapper swayed as she walked, her head held so high that people wondered if she could even see where she was going. When a woman carrying yams accidentally brushed against her, you stopped. The entire market seemed to hold its breath. "Are you blind?" Ya's voice cut through the air like a whip. The woman stammered an apology, but Ya wasn't finished. She shoved the woman's basket, sending yams rolling into the dust. "Next time, stay out of my way." The crowd watched in silence. No one defended the woman. No one dared. Ya smiled, satisfied, and continued walking. But from the corner of the market, beneath the shade of an old tree, an elderly woman sat perfectly still. Her eyes followed Ya's every step. She didn't blink. She didn't move. She just watched. And somehow, even in the noise and chaos of the market, you felt those eyes on her back like cold fingers pressing against her spine. She turned quickly, but the old woman simply smiled. A smile that held no warmth. By evening, the village elders gathered near the ancient Irako tree. Elder Obi, the oldest man in the village, shook his head slowly as others recounted what happened at the market. "That girl has no respect," one elder said. "She walks like the earth was made just for her," said another. Elder Obi sighed deeply. The next morning, he waited for Ya near the water path. When she appeared, balancing a clay pot on her head, he stepped forward. "Ya, my child, you must learn to respect others. Pride is a dangerous companion." Ya stopped and looked at him with cold eyes. Then she laughed. Not a small laugh. A loud, mocking laugh that echoed through the morning air. "Elder, with all respect, I don't need lessons from old men who sit under trees all day." The words hit Elder Obi like stones. He staggered back slightly, his walking stick trembling in his hand. Before he could respond, Ya walked past him, her pot still perfectly balanced. But as she moved forward, she saw her. The old woman from the market, standing directly in her path, unmoving, unmoved, waiting. Ya stopped a few feet away from the old woman. The morning sun cast long shadows, but the old woman's shadow seemed darker, deeper than it should have been. "Move," Ya said simply. The old woman didn't respond. She just stood there, her wrapper faded and worn, her eyes steady and calm. "I said move." Ya's voice rose, sharper now, angrier. Still, the old woman remained silent. Rage boiled inside Ya's chest. How dare this woman block her path? How dare she stand there like she had any right to challenge her? Without thinking, without hesitation, Ya's hand flew through the air. The slap echoed like thunder. The old woman's head turned slightly from the force, but she didn't fall. She didn't cry out. She simply straightened herself slowly, her eyes never leaving Ya's face. Then, in a voice so soft only the wind could carry it, the old woman whispered something. You couldn't hear the words clearly, but she felt them in her bones. Suddenly, the wind picked up. Strong, unnatural, swirling dust around them. The trees bent. The air grew cold. And everyone who witnessed it felt their hearts freeze. That evening, the village erupted in whispers. Women gathered at the stream, their voices low but urgent. Did you see what she did? She slapped Mama Neka. That woman is not ordinary. Everyone knows this. But you doesn't care. She thinks she's untouchable. Men sat in their compounds, shaking their heads. Some said you had gone too far. Others said the old woman should have moved. But most stayed silent, their eyes distant, their thoughts heavy. You returned home that night to find her parents waiting. Her father stood with his arms crossed, his face tight with worry. Her mother sat on a low stool, hands clasped together. What have you done? Her mother whispered. You rolled her eyes. Nothing. An old woman stood in my way. I moved her. That woman is not just an old woman, her father said quietly. You laughed again. That same cold laugh. You people fear everything. I'm not afraid of anyone. That night, the village stayed awake longer than usual. Dogs howled from every corner. Not normal howls. Long, mournful cries that pierced the darkness. Children clung to their mothers. Elders whispered prayers. And somewhere deep in the forest, something listened. Ye woke suddenly, her chest heaving, her skin drenched in sweat. She had seen something in her dream. Fire. Mirrors. Her own face staring back at her. But wrong. Cracked. Splitting like dry clay under the sun. She sat up quickly, her heart pounding. Her room was dark except for the faint moonlight creeping through the window. She told herself it was nothing. Just a bad dream. Nothing more. But as she stood to fetch water, she caught her reflection in the small mirror hanging on the wall. For a moment, just a brief moment, her face looked different. Distorted. Wrong. She blinked hard, and it was gone. Ye shook her head, laughing nervously at herself. I'm losing my mind, she muttered. But when she moved to leave the room, she felt it. A faint burning sensation on her left cheek. She touched the spot carefully and pulled her hand away quickly. It was hot. She moved back to the mirror and leaned closer. There, just below her cheekbone, was a small dark patch. It looked like a shadow beneath her skin. Ye's breathing quickened. She rubbed it hard, but it didn't fade. If anything, it seemed darker now. By morning, Ye's mother noticed the mark. What is that on your face? She asked, concern filling her voice. Ye touched the spot instinctively. Nothing. Just a small rash. Her mother moved closer, studying it carefully. Her eyes widened slightly. Ye, listen to me. You need to go and apologize to that woman. Ye pulled away sharply. Apologize? For what? She was in my way. Please, my daughter. Pride will destroy you. Ye's laugh was bitter. That old woman means nothing. This mark will fade by tomorrow. But her mother's face didn't change. She looked afraid. Terrified. Even. That afternoon, Ye went to the market again, her head still high despite the whispers that followed her. People stared at the mark on her face. Some pointed. Others turned away quickly. One woman whispered loudly enough for Ye to hear. The spirits have marked her. Ye spun around, fury in her eyes, but no one would meet her gaze. By sunset, the dark patch had spread. What was once the size of a coin now stretched across her cheek like spilled ink. Ye stood before her mirror, her hands trembling. And for the first time in her life, she felt something she had never felt before. Fear. Ye woke the next morning to a scream. Her own scream. Her face had swollen overnight. The dark patch had spread further, covering half her face now, and her skin felt tight, burning, wrong. She stumbled out of her room, her voice breaking with panic. Mama, Mama, something is wrong. Her mother rushed in, saw her daughter's face, and gasped. Her father appeared moments later, his face going pale. What is happening to me? Ye cried, touching her face with shaking hands. Her mother began to weep. Her father stood frozen, unable to speak. Outside, neighbors gathered. Word spread quickly. By midday, half the village stood outside Ye's compound, whispering, staring, pointing. Some looked sympathetic. Others looked satisfied. She insulted Mama Neka, someone said. Now the spirits are answering. Ye heard everything from inside her room. Every whisper, every judgment, every laugh. Her chest tightened. Her breathing became shallow, difficult. She collapsed onto her mat, clutching her throat. Her mother screamed for help. The herbalist was called. When he arrived, he didn't speak immediately. He simply looked at Ye's face, his expression grave. Then he closed his eyes and whispered something under his breath. The herbalist finally spoke, his voice low and heavy. This is not a sickness. The room went silent. Ye's parents exchanged fearful glances. Then what is it? Her father asked. The herbalist looked directly at Ye, his eyes unreadable. Someone has answered her pride. Ye's mother gasped. Her father's jaw tightened. Ye herself felt cold all over, despite the burning on her face. The spirits have heard her words. They have seen her actions. And they have responded. Can you fix it? Her mother begged. The herbalist shook his head slowly. I cannot undo what the spirits have done. Only the one she offended can release her. Silence fell again. Heavy. Suffocating. Mama Neka, someone whispered from outside. The herbalist nodded. If he does not seek forgiveness, this will not end. It will only grow worse. He stood to leave, but paused at the door. I have seen this before. The spirits do not play. They do not warn twice. After he left, Ya's parents turned to her. Her mother knelt beside her, gripping her hands. Please, Ya, go and beg her. Apologize. But Ya pulled her hands away, her eyes still defiant despite the fear. I will not bow to that woman. The villagers' laughter began the next day. At first, it was hidden behind hands, whispered behind closed doors. But as Ya's condition worsened, the laughter grew bolder. Children pointed openly. Women giggled as they passed her compound. Even some men smirked when her name was mentioned. Ya heard everything. Every mocking word. Every cruel joke. The proud one has fallen, they said. She thought she was above everyone. Now look at her. Ya sat inside her room, trembling with rage and humiliation. She wanted to scream at them, to curse them all, but her voice had started changing. It cracked when she spoke, sounding rough and unfamiliar. She touched her throat constantly, confused and terrified. Her mother brought food, but you couldn't eat. The swelling had spread to her jaw, making it painful to chew. Her father paced outside, muttering prayers. But nothing changed. That afternoon, you tried to step outside for fresh air. The moment she appeared in the doorway, the laughter stopped. People stared, not with pity, with fascination, like she was something strange, something cursed. Ya's breathing quickened. Her chest felt tight, too tight. She gasped, clutching her throat. Her legs gave out. She collapsed right there in the doorway, her body hitting the ground hard. The herbalist was summoned again. This time, he didn't ask questions. He simply examined Ya in silence, his face grave. When he finished, he turned to her parents. The curse is accelerating. Her mother sobbed. Her father clenched his fists. What can we do? He asked desperately. The herbalist looked at Ya, who lay on her mat, her breathing shallow and labored. She must go to Mama Neka. She must kneel. She must ask forgiveness with her whole heart. Ya's father nodded quickly. We will take her. No, the herbalist said firmly. She must go herself. Alone. The spirits will know if it is forced. He looked at you again. Only sincere humility will break this. After he left, Ya's parents pleaded with her. Her mother wept openly. Her father, a man who rarely begged, knelt beside her mat. Please, my daughter. Do this. Save yourself. Ya's lips trembled. For the first time, doubt flickered in her eyes. She opened her mouth to speak, but before she could, her vision blurred. The room spun. She saw flames, shadows, figures kneeling before fire. She blinked hard, and the vision vanished. Her parents stared at her, waiting. But Ya closed her eyes and turned her face away. That night, Ya lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Her body ached. Her face burned. Her throat felt like it was closing. But still, something inside her refused to break. Pride. Stubborn, burning pride. She thought of the old woman, the way she had stood in her path, the audacity of it, the disrespect. Ya's jaw tightened. Why should she apologize? She had done nothing wrong. The old woman should have moved. By morning, her condition had worsened. The swelling spread down her neck. Her voice was barely a whisper now. Her mother brought water, but Ya couldn't swallow. Her father sat outside, his head in his hands. Neighbors whispered that the spirits were closing in, that Ya was running out of time. Elder Obi visited that afternoon. He stood at the doorway, looking at Ya with sad, tired eyes. Child, you are choosing pain over peace. Why? Ya tried to speak, but only a rasping sound came out. Elder Obi sighed. The spirits do not enjoy this. They are waiting for you to choose differently. But if you do not, they will take everything. He left quietly, and as the sun set, Ya felt something shift inside her chest. Not surrender. Something darker. Anger. The next morning, Ya could barely move. Her joints had stiffened overnight, her fingers curling involuntarily. Her lips twisted to one side, making it difficult to speak. Her mother screamed when she saw her. Her father rushed in, his face pale. "We need to take her now," he said urgently. They tried to lift Ya, but her body was too heavy, too rigid. She groaned in pain with every movement. Finally, they managed to carry her outside. The villagers gathered immediately. The sight of Ya shocked them into silence. Her face was almost unrecognizable now. Swollen, darkened, twisted. Someone whispered a prayer. Another turned away, unable to look. They carried her to the village square, hoping the herbalist could do something. But as they set her down gently on a mat, Ya's body convulsed. Her back arched. Her eyes rolled back. Her mother screamed. Her father shouted for help. The herbalist arrived quickly, but even he looked shaken. He knelt beside Ya, examining her carefully. Then he looked up at the crowd. "The curse is spreading beyond her face. It is entering her spirit now." The crowd gasped. "She must go today," he said urgently. "If she waits another night, it will be too late." The village no longer laughed. The joke stopped. The mockery faded. What remained was fear. People avoided Ya's compound. Mothers pulled their children away if they got too close. Even the boldest men spoke in hushed tones when her name was mentioned. Ya was no longer the proud one. She was now the cursed one. The elders gathered under the iroko tree, their faces drawn with worry. "This is worse than we thought," one said. "The spirits are making an example of her," another whispered. Elder Obi sat quietly, his eyes distant. "She was chosen for this. Her pride was louder than all of ours." The spirits needed someone to teach the village a lesson. Inside her compound, Ya lay on her mat, her breathing shallow and uneven. Her mother sat beside her, holding her hand, weeping silently. Her father stood outside, staring at the sky as if searching for answers. That evening, something strange happened. Ya's voice changed again. Not just cracked or rough. It sounded different, deeper, almost like someone else was speaking through her. Her mother gasped and pulled back. "Ya? Ya, is that you?" Ya tried to respond, but the words that came out didn't sound like her own. Her father rushed in, his eyes wide with terror. Ya's parents knelt beside her mat that night, both of them weeping openly. "Please, Ya," her mother begged, gripping her daughter's swollen hand. "Please go to her. We are losing you." Her father, a man who had always been strong, broke down completely. "I beg you, my daughter. I will go with you. I will carry you if I must. Just do this." For the first time, you felt something crack inside her chest. Not her pride. Not yet. But something close. She saw her parents' faces, twisted with grief and fear. She heard her mother's sobs, her father's broken voice. Slowly, painfully, Ya nodded. Her mother gasped. Her father's eyes filled with hope. "You will go?" he asked urgently. Ya nodded again, tears sliding down her swollen face. "Tomorrow," she rasped. "I will go tomorrow." Her parents embraced each other, crying with relief. But that night, as Ya lay in the darkness, she had another vision. She saw elders kneeling before fire. She saw shadows circling them. She saw the old woman's face, calm and unchanging. And then she saw herself, crawling, begging, broken. Ya woke with a scream, her chest heaving. But when morning came, she was gone. Ya's parents woke to find her mat empty. Panic seized them immediately. "Ya, where are you?" her mother screamed, rushing through the compound. Her father searched outside, his voice echoing through the village. "She's gone. My daughter is gone." Neighbors gathered quickly, their faces filled with alarm. Where could she have gone? "She can barely walk." "The forest," Elder Obi said quietly. Everyone turned to him. "She has gone to find Mama Neka." Ya's mother collapsed to her knees. "She will die on that path. She is too weak." Elder Obi shook his head slowly. "If she does not reach her, she will die anyway." Meanwhile, deep in the forest, Ye stumbled forward. Each step felt like her last. Her legs shook. Her vision blurred. Her breathing came in short, painful gasps. She had left before dawn, dragging herself out of the compound while her parents slept. She knew they would try to stop her. Or worse, they would come with her. And she couldn't let them see this. See her like this. Broken. Humiliated. She fell twice before reaching the forest path. The third time, she stayed down longer, her body refusing to move. But something pushed her forward. Not pride this time. Fear. Fear of death. Fear of what came after. The forest path was narrow and overgrown. Branches scratched Ye's arms as she pushed through. Thorns caught her wrapper, tearing it. Her feet bled from stepping on sharp stones. But she kept moving. One step. Then another. Then another. The sun climbed higher, but the forest remained dim. The trees were thick here, their branches woven together like a roof. Birds called from somewhere above, their cries strange and unfamiliar. Ye's legs gave out again. She fell hard, her face hitting the dirt. She lay there for a long moment, tasting blood and earth. Her body screamed at her to stop, to give up. But she couldn't. Not now. Not after coming this far. She pushed herself up slowly, her arms trembling. Her vision swam. The world tilted. But she saw it. Just ahead. Through the trees. A small hut. Smoke rising from a fire outside. Ye's heart pounded. She tried to move faster, but her legs wouldn't obey. She stumbled forward, her body swaying. The ground seemed to rise up to meet her. And then everything went black. When Ye opened her eyes, she was lying on the ground just outside the hut. The smoke from the fire drifted above her. And sitting calmly nearby, grinding herbs in a clay bowl, was the old woman. Mama Neka didn't look up immediately. She continued grinding her herbs, the rhythmic sound filling the silence. Ye tried to speak, but her voice failed her. She tried to move, but her body wouldn't respond. All she could do was lie there, helpless. Finally, Mama Neka set down her grinding stone. She stood slowly, her movements deliberate and calm. She walked over to where Ye lay and looked down at her. I wondered when you would come, she said softly. Her voice was gentle, but it carried weight. Power. Ye's lips trembled. Tears spilled from her eyes. Mama Neka tilted her head slightly. You waited long. Too long, perhaps. Ye tried to shake her head, to explain, to beg, but the old woman simply watched her. Do you know why you are here? Mama Neka asked. Ye managed a small nod. Then speak. Mama Neka's voice was not unkind, but it was firm. Ye's throat tightened. She opened her mouth, and with every ounce of strength she had left, she whispered, I'm sorry. The words were barely audible, but they were sincere. For the first time in her life, Ye meant them. Mama Neka studied her for a long moment. Then she called Ye by name. Ye, daughter of Okafor. Hearing her name from the old woman's lips sent a shiver through Ye's entire body. Mama Neka moved closer and knelt beside her. Can you kneel? She asked simply. Ye's body screamed in protest, but she forced herself to move. Slowly, painfully, she rolled onto her side. Then she pushed herself up onto her hands and knees. Every muscle trembled. Every joint burned. But she didn't stop. She brought one knee forward, then the other, until she was kneeling in the dirt before Mama Neka. Her head dropped. Tears fell freely now, mixing with the dust beneath her. I'm sorry, Ye whispered again, her voice breaking. I was wrong. I was cruel. I thought I was better than everyone. I thought I was untouchable. She sobbed openly now, her shoulders shaking. Please, please forgive me. I don't want to die. Mama Neka sat quietly, watching her. After a long silence, she spoke. Why now, Ye? Why do you apologize now? Ye lifted her head slightly, her swollen face wet with tears. Because I'm afraid, she admitted. Because I'm suffering. Mama Neka nodded slowly. At least you speak truth. She reached out and gently lifted Ye's chin, forcing her to look into her eyes. But tell me, child, do you regret your pride? Or do you only regret the consequences? The question cut through Ya like a blade. She opened her mouth to answer quickly, to say what she thought Mama Neka wanted to hear. But the old woman's eyes stopped her. Those eyes saw everything. Every lie. Every hidden thought. Ya closed her mouth and thought carefully. Did she regret her pride? Or did she only regret the pain? If the curse hadn't come, would she have changed? The silence stretched long and heavy. Finally, Ya spoke, her voice trembling but honest. I regret both. I regret who I was. I thought I was special. I thought I deserved to be above everyone. I looked down on people who never hurt me. I hurt people who never hurt me. Her voice broke completely now. I was cruel because I could be. Because no one stopped me. Because I thought I was untouchable. She looked directly into Mama Neka's eyes. But I was wrong. I am not special. I am not above anyone. I am just a girl who destroyed herself with pride. Mama Neka's expression softened slightly. She lifted Ya's face higher. You insulted more than me, child. Ya's breath caught. What do you mean? You insulted the spirits. You insulted the balance. You insulted every elder who tried to guide you. Every person you harmed carried their pain to the spirits. And the spirits heard. Mama Neka stood slowly, her shadow falling over Ya. I am not just an old woman, Ya. I am a guardian. I watch over the forgotten laws. The laws of humility, of respect, of balance. Ya's eyes widened. Mama Neka continued, her voice steady and ancient. The spirits watch everyone, but some voices are louder than others. Your pride was loud, Ya. Louder than most. It echoed through the village, through the forest, through the spirit world. She gestured to the forest around them. They were already watching you long before you slapped me. That act was simply the final proof they needed. You felt her stomach drop. Proof of what? That you were the one. The one for what? Ya's voice shook. Mama Neka looked at her with something like pity. Every generation, the spirits choose someone. Someone whose pride has grown so loud that it must be silenced. Not to destroy them, but to teach them. And through them, to teach the village. Ya's breathing quickened. You were chosen, Ya. The moment I stood in your path, I knew. The spirits had already marked you. The slap was just your final choice. Ya's body went cold. So, this was always going to happen? Mama Neka shook her head. No. You could have chosen differently. You could have walked away. But you didn't. Ya's voice came out as a broken whisper. Then heal me. I've learned. I've changed. I'll never be that person again. Mama Neka's face remained calm, but sadness flickered in her eyes. Healing is not automatic, child. The spirits do not simply restore what was broken because you ask. Ya's heart sank. What do you mean? Your pride destroyed more than your own life. It hurt your parents. It hurt the villagers you mocked. It damaged the balance of respect in your community. Mama Neka knelt again, meeting his eyes. True change is not proven in one moment of fear. It must be lived. I will live it, you said desperately. I promise. I will serve everyone. I will honor the elders. I will never speak with pride again. Mama Neka nodded slowly. I believe you, but the spirits require proof. What kind of proof? Ya asked, her voice shaking. Time. Consistency. A life lived differently. Mama Neka stood again. I will lift part of the curse. Your breathing will return. Your strength will come back. But not all of it. Ya's eyes filled with fresh tears. What will remain? A mark, Mama Neka said simply. A reminder. A reminder of what? That arrogance never leaves without taking something with it. Mama Neka began to chant softly, her words ancient and rhythmic. The air around them shifted. The forest seemed to hold its breath. You felt something move inside her chest. Not painful, but powerful. The tightness in her throat began to ease. The burning in her face started to cool. She gasped, drawing in a full breath for the first time in days. Her joints loosened. Her fingers uncurled. Strength slowly returned to her limbs. But the swelling didn't completely disappear. The dark mark on her face remained. Mama Neka stopped chanting and looked at ya. The spirits have heard your plea. They have seen your tears. But they are not finished watching you. You touched her face carefully. The swelling was reduced, but she could still feel the mark. This will stay? She asked quietly. Yes, Mama Neka confirmed. Not as punishment, but as remembrance. For you and for your village. You nodded slowly, accepting the words. What do I do now? You return home. You live humbly. You serve others. You honor the elders. And you never forget who you once were. Mama Neka handed you a small cloth bundle. Herbs for your parents. They have suffered much. You took the bundle, her hands trembling. Thank you, she whispered. Mama Neka simply nodded. The spirits are merciful, child, but they are also just. You returned to the village just before sunset. She walked slowly, her body still weak, but her step steady. When villagers saw her approaching, they stopped and stared. Her face was changed. The swelling was reduced, but the dark mark remained clearly visible. Whispers spread quickly. She returned. She's alive. But look at her face. You walked directly to her compound. Her mother was sitting outside, her head in her hands. Her father stood nearby, staring at the path. When they saw ya, they both froze. Then her mother screamed with joy and ran toward her. Her father followed, his eyes wet with tears. They embraced her carefully, afraid she might break. You went alone, her mother sobbed. You foolish, brave girl. You held them both tightly. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything. That evening, word spread through the village. You had been to Mama Neka. She had returned changed. Elder Obi came to visit. He looked at Ya's face, at the mark that remained, and nodded slowly. The spirits have spoken, he said quietly. They have shown mercy, but they have also left their message. Ya bowed her head respectfully. I understand, Elder. From that day forward, Ya's life changed completely. She woke early to help her mother. She fetched water without complaint. She greeted elders with deep respect. A week's passed, then months. The village watched it carefully. At first, some expected her humility to fade. They thought it was temporary, an act to avoid further punishment. But you proved them wrong. Every morning, she helped elderly women carry their loads. She swept the compound without being asked. She spoke softly and listened more than she spoke. When younger girls acted with pride, she gently warned them. Be careful, she would say quietly. Pride is a dangerous companion. She never hid her face, never covered the mark. She let everyone see it. Some villagers began to soften toward her. They saw her transformation and believed it. Others remained skeptical, keeping their distance. You didn't demand their trust. She simply continued living differently. One day, Elder Obi called a village meeting under the Irako tree. You was asked to attend. She went nervously, unsure what would happen. The elder stood before the gathered villagers. We have all watched you these past months. We have seen her change. The spirits chose her to teach us all. He looked directly at Ya. The mark on her face is not a mark of shame. It is a mark of warning, a reminder that pride destroys, but humility restores. The villagers murmured in agreement. Some nodded. Others looked at Ya with new understanding. Years passed. You grew into a woman known throughout the village for her kindness and wisdom. Young girls came to her for advice. Mothers brought their troubled children to her. Even elders sought her counsel. The mark on her face remained. It never faded. But over time, people stopped seeing it as a curse. They saw it as a symbol, a reminder that transformation is possible, that even the proudest heart can learn humility. You never forgot that day in the forest. She never forgot Mama Neka's words. She never forgot the fear, the pain, the desperate crawl through the trees. And she was grateful for all of it. One evening, as she sat outside her compound watching children play, Elder Obi approached. He was much older now, his step slower, his back bent. But his eyes were still sharp. "You have become what the spirits intended," he said, sitting beside her. Ye smiled softly. "I became what I should have been all along." Elder Obi nodded. "The mark remains." "Yes," Ye said, touching her face gently. "It reminds me." "Of what?" "That arrogance never leaves without taking something with it. But humility gives back more than pride ever could." The elder smiled. The spirits chose well. As the sun set over the village, you watched the children play, their laughter filling the air. And for the first time in her life, she felt truly at peace.